Doubting our way to faith. I think in a lot of ways we are born questioners. Children often ask those continuous why questions, don't they? Why does that move? Why does that shine? Why does that change? We're born doubters, and in some ways, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because we can doubt our way to faith. Maybe to put it this way, anything worth believing is worth doubting. Why do I say that? Because when difficulties come, and when you face challenges, and when you face questions, and when you face doubts, then you find out if your beliefs are really true or not. Let's say that I walked out onto the ice of a pond during a very cold winter. My belief is that, okay, I can't normally walk on water, but because this pond is frozen, I can walk out onto the ice without falling into the cold water. I might even test it first, challenge it, question it, doubt it, jump up and down on the edge of the pond. I want to see if it's going to crack. I might even see other people walking around on the ice. And if my belief that the ice will hold me up is accurate, because I know, okay, water freezes at 32 degrees and it's been cold for several weeks, that gives an ice a chance to really get really thick. And if my belief is accurate, then my doubts actually strengthen my faith. But if I test the edge of the pond and the ice cracks and the ice breaks, then my doubts have actually kept me from the danger of a false belief. And if our beliefs can't stand up to our questions and our doubts, what value do our beliefs really have? Are they really true? So I say doubt can actually help us confront our wrong beliefs. Copernicus, he doubted the religious and scientific beliefs of his time. People during his age, they commonly believed that the sun revolved around the earth. He understood that the earth and our solar system revolved around the sun, a different view. And his beliefs challenged even the biblical interpretation of the earth standing still. His healthy skepticism led to better interpretation of the Bible. His beliefs challenged and helped bring about discoveries of how planets actually do orbit, how we perceive objects that are close and far away. Furthermore, doubt can also strengthen what we already believe as true. When we look at our world and we see the suffering that is there, the war in Ukraine, the senseless gun violence, the shootings, the COVID pandemic, sexual abuse, suicide, cancer, you name it. When we look at all that suffering, we begin to wrestle with what we believe about this all-powerful, all-loving God. We ask the question, if our God is so powerful, if he is all-loving, how could he possibly allow suffering? But our struggle takes us deeper in our understanding and experiencing God. We begin to understand and experience God, the Father's love. So we begin to pray in humble worship, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Our struggle with suffering takes us deeper in knowing that only God can and only God will one day bring about a just society. He will install a just society. He will make all things right. So we can pray with confidence. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our struggle with suffering can take us deeper into the triumphant power of the cross to overcome sin and to overcome evil. So we can pray with authority, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil and the evil one. Of course, doubt can close us off to the truth. Doubt can make us unwilling to change. But doubt actually has an important role in Christianity. If we didn't have Thomas doubting, that Christ had risen from the dead, we would be missing a whole list of proofs for his resurrection. So we can say doubt can actually lead us to genuine faith. Notice the story, John 20, 24 and 25. Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where his nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." After Jesus was crucified, after he rose the third day, rose from the dead, he appeared to the disciples, but Thomas wasn't present. What was he doing? Was he sorting things out? Was he thinking, okay, our leader, Jesus, has died. So much for this whole change the world idea. It's over. But the other disciples told him, Jesus is alive. We saw him. But Thomas didn't believe them. He wanted proof. He wanted to see with his own eyes visually. He wanted to touch Jesus with his own hands physically. Thomas had to experience firsthand the risen Christ for himself. Otherwise, he refused to believe. But honest doubts can lead us to a genuine faith. We ask the question, well, how can I be sure that the message of the Bible is true? Is Jesus Christ, is he really the way to God? Can a person really know God? Look what happens to Thomas next. John 20, 26 and 28. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. And though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." A week after the resurrection of Christ, he appeared to disciples again as they gathered. This time, Thomas is with them. The doors are locked. The risen Christ appears among them. He greets them with peace. And then Jesus speaks directly to Thomas in the most tender, loving, understanding way. Jesus did not scold Thomas for his doubt. He didn't belittle him for his lack of faith. Jesus didn't write him off as a failure. Rather, Jesus spoke to Thomas warmly. "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas cried out in faith, "My Lord and my God." He truly believed, doubting his way to faith. And reliable sources tell us that Thomas became the great evangelizer of India. From AD 52 to AD 72, he founded many churches there. And when a group of unbelievers asked him to deny his faith in Christ, this one-time doubter claimed, "I will never, ever renounce Christ." He died the death of a martyr. The doubting Thomas turned into the faithful and committed Thomas. And Jesus gave Thomas exactly what he needed in order to believe. And Jesus will give exactly what you need in order to believe. When Craig Groeschel was a freshman in high school, he was struggling with every kind of doubt. He wanted to know if Jesus truly was the Son of God, if he was truly risen from the dead. If Jesus rose from the dead, then Craig realized that he should be loyal to God. But if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, well, then he could really do whatever he wanted. Craig was at a youth camp. Counselors gave all the youth campers 2 hours to spend time alone with God. Well, Craig had never spent 2 hours alone with God before. He went out on the field all by himself and said, "God, if you are real, I want you to show me." And he took 2 sticks and put them in front of him in the form of a cross. He said, "God, if you are real, move these sticks. And if you move them, then I'll know you're real, and I will give you my whole life." 2 hours later, nothing happened. Nothing at all. He had prayed, "God, if you're real, just do this one thing," and God didn't do it. And so Craig, he just continued his own selfish, sinful lifestyle, went right into college. And then as a college sophomore, he was invited to a Bible study. And I read Ephesians 2:8 and 9, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And it's not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one could boast. And when they read that verse, something supernatural came over him. He had to get out as fast as he could. And that little room was crowded with college students that he literally opened up a side window, crawled out and ran out into the middle of a softball field. He fell face down on the field. He cried out to God, God, if you are real, take my whole life and you can have it. And he fell on that field full of doubts, bitterness, hatred, questions, insecurity. And as he lay there face down, literally with his face in the dirt, the presence of God became so real to him that in his doubting mind, he just was physically unable to get up. And when he finally got up, he was a different person. He had experienced what the Bible calls the new birth. All his sins were forgiven and he knew it. He was cleansed. And the power of sin that had so dominated and gripped his life was broken. God touched Craig in such a way far more profound than two twigs moving. It wasn't what he wanted, but it was what he needed. Doubt itself can lead you to genuine faith. And Jesus gave Thomas exactly what he needed in order to believe. And Jesus will give you exactly what you need in order to believe. Even in my own life, God gave me two unconventional Bible verses, probably rarely used in any gospel presentation. But that's what God used to bring me to genuine faith in Jesus. Today we are celebrating those who have come to faith. They're announcing their decision to follow the Lord fully through water baptism. They're outwardly demonstrating their own inward decision. Perhaps God didn't give them what they wanted, moving two twigs together in a field, but he gave to them exactly what they needed to come to genuine faith. And when you say yes to Jesus, sometimes people wonder, should I be rebaptized? You only have to be baptized once. And just like married people get married to each other only once, and at wedding celebrations that they attend, they can always renew their wedding vows. But they don't need to get married again. And it's the same for water baptism. If you've been baptized in water before, even if now you have a greater understanding, a greater appreciation for baptism, you don't need to be rebaptized. But what you can do is you could take every opportunity at every water baptism to reaffirm your baptismal vow, to reaffirm your decision to follow Jesus fully, the world behind you, the cross before you, your brothers and sisters beside you. Today we celebrate those who are being baptized. And for some here today, as you hear these stories or as you have heard this message, you may be saying your first yes to Jesus. Be assured, Jesus will give exactly what you need in order to believe. Amen.